Good day, everyone. I am Travis Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. It is so good to see so many of you who have joined us, and hello to those of you who are watching this recording back afterwards who are not able to join us live to learn about the Learning Design and Leadership Ed.M program here with us today. I know that we have already had folks that have introduced themselves in the chat. Please feel free to keep using the chat throughout the information session. This session is being recorded, so if you get interrupted or have to step away or miss something or want to watch something back later, it will be recorded and sent out to you via the same email address that you used to sign up for this Zoom. And you can also reach us at online programs at education.illinois.edu. And we will have that on the screen several times throughout this presentation if you have questions or need this information session sent back to you afterwards. Please feel free to type in the chat, let us know where you're at, ask questions. We have plenty of staff here throughout the presentation to be able to answer those questions from you. We have we'll have some introductions of who all we have here with us. But we have Professors Cope and Kalantzis. We also have Kara Francis, who is with the LDL program, and Brianna Davis and Gina Poff, who are from online programs. So if those people are answering your questions, you know that they're the right people that are answering them there. The purpose of this session, we will cover things like eligibility structure, admissions, career paths. Again, if you have questions about any of our other programs, really happy to answer those. I would really encourage you to email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu so that we can connect you with the right folks from those programs to answer some of those questions, maybe get into some more details about other programs that we may not have a chance to cover here today. If you're interested in those programs, we still really want to get you engaged and share everything we can about those programs with you. Just a quick overview of some College of Education program staff that you might interact with as you're moving throughout the master's program or in any of our online programs. Frankly, we have education program staff. As I had mentioned, Gina Poff and Brianna Davis are here with us today. They're excellent staff members and our online student advisor that'll be probably interacting with you quite a bit if you ever have any issues, questions, or concerns or things like that. From an administration side of things, we'll be working with you. And then I myself am the Assistant Director of Online Programs. Am here to provide career support in addition to answering questions and things like that as you move throughout your program. And you might also interact with Laura Ketchum, who is the assistant to the head of EPOL, or Sangeetha Gopalakrishnan, who is our Assistant Dean for Online Learning and Innovations. With that, I think I'm going to turn things over to Professor Cope at this point in time. You're still muted, Bill.
For that, Travis. Yeah. Look, I'm going to talk a little bit about the program and what it does, and I can see Mary Kalantzis is here as well. I think Vanya is not here. We have another scholar who's just now traveling to Brazil, so maybe she's held up in airlines or some such. So anyhow, Mary and I are here, and thank you very much for that introduction, Travis. And also I want to say how lucky we are to have Brianna and Travis and Gina and all the team here who support us in what we do, because it's a big logistical challenge as well, and everything they do really, really helps us and helps the students. So thank you all for being here. So I'm going to do a brief introduction about the program, and then I'm going to get Mary to say a few words as well, because almost invariably, we say things differently. A little bit of a background: we both kind of came here together. We're from Australia, and we've been here now at the U of I for 18 years. This is our 18th year here. So yes, we've been here quite a long time, and we built this program out over the last however many years. Now the program offers at a number of levels now. So I know today's session is focused on the master's level, but we have a kind of this idea of a ladder of learning. So you can start by doing a little Coursera course, and which is cheap, and so all our courses are in available in Coursera, or you can do one course, or you can do a certificate, which is 3 courses, or you can do a master's degree, which is 8 courses, and we also have a fully online doctorate as well. So in a way, we're talking about the master's program principally today, but it sits in a larger context. So, you might start with a master's program and move into a doctorate, or you might actually do something less than a master's program just to get a feel for it and to see whether this is the right kind of program for you. Okay, so what are the ideas? I'll try and summarize the ideas quickly, and then we'll get Mary to give her version of it. And then I'm going to show you a few things. I'm going to show you into a class online, and I'm going to show you some of the ways in which our online environment works. So firstly, our big ideas are around the fact that education needs to change. Innovation is needed. And we're in a very, very disruptive moment where there are several big forces of disruption in the background. We know the issue of learner senses of belonging and learner identity and learner differences are really, really big issues at the moment in terms of existential issues, if you like, issues of feeling like the learning is for you and feeling like that whatever your differences are can be addressed adequately in the learning environment. That's one thing. The other thing, so we're very interested in that and very concerned about that. The other big thing is the arrival of learning technologies, which is not new. In fact, the University of Illinois had the world's first computer-mediated learning system, a system called Plato, and that began in, would you believe, 1959. So the idea of computer-mediated learning is not new, but what's happened recently with developments in AI is dramatic, to put not too fine a point on it. So we're interested in educational innovation in the context of diversity and technology, and we also have going a research program as well. So we're building innovative environments, and one of the things we want to do is get the students in our program to participate in that process by having them do their work in these experimental spaces. I'm going to show you one of those spaces in a moment. At the moment, our most recent research is about the application of generative AI to support student learning, and all our courses have generative AI now built in, and they're built into the environment we've built. They're not go to ChatGPT and ask a question. We've actually built applications which are dedicated education applications, which are on about learner support. So there are 2 big thematic areas. I'm just going to turn over to Mary and see if she'd like to add some some background information about what we're trying to do here.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And first, thank you, Travis, for organizing this. And I want to thank all the college team and our own team, because it takes a team kind of to work in this environment. You are all working in an online environment once you participate in these courses, if you choose to do so. And quite often it can be a lonely thing. But in our college and in our department, we make sure that it isn't lonely. One reason in terms of the kind of pedagogy we have, and I'll speak to that. But the other one is the number of people who are there to support you and the context in which we enable you to help each other. And I'll speak a little about that. So thank you all for choosing to come to our college and to the university. I have to say up front, that those who graduate from these programs go off and have the badge of the University of Illinois as part of their qualifying outcomes, are able to step up in their lives in numerous ways. So, I think this program, not just this program, all our programs are valuable beyond anything we can say to you in your lives. But Bill spoke about the science and practice of teaching. And the second point there is about the issue of learner diversity. No matter where we are, at any level, when we're engaging with people, we deal with differences in a broad sense, all sorts of differences. And you can't address the first question about what kind of teaching to do, what kind tools that do we use if we're not able to focus on how we transform people? So people of different backgrounds, different languages, different abilities, different ethnic backgrounds, and so forth, that everyone can reach their own potential. However, we know that this is a stubborn problem within our school system, given issues of resources and architecture and tools that we have. But we focus on those, on the way in which the new technology might enable us to produce more access for students and to scaffold and personalize their experience so they can succeed. So it takes me to the pedagogy. If you choose to do this program, you'll enter, as Bill said, an experimental space in technological terms, because you're in a different platform. But I want to just talk very quickly about how we evaluate you. And I'm doing this because if you're educators, you know the way you evaluate anything impacts on the way you design it, right? But in our course, we have three components which analytics that we gain from you as you progress through the course. And the first, of course, is knowledge. Every program, every course wants to ensure that you have new knowledge and you're engaging with it and you're making it useful. But because you're in an online environment, we also need to know how you engage in that environment with each other, with your instructors, and with the resources. So we also grade you on the type of engagement and the quality of that engagement. But important for us, and this matters pedagogically for us, is we have a third area that we grade you on, which is help. We don't worry about issues about cheating from each other. In fact, what we want is people to help each other, collaborative knowledge, to progress together. And we have built peer feedback into the pedagogy of our courses. And we expect you to help each other and together achieve all the goals that you want. So that's a very kind of different orientation from saying you're all going to be put on a bell curve. Some of you are going to do well. Some of you are going to be just kind of ordinary, and some of you are not going to do so well. That we don't operate like that. We think all of you can progress at your own pace. We've provided the flipped classrooms and the content and the material. We've provided the supports within the program to help you progress and to engage with new tools and new ideas. And you watch your own growth through a tool we've called an Asterplot. So you can see how you progress as you go through the program. This is not just a tool for us, but it's also an example of what's possible. The way we can use new technology in order to change, the kind of problem of assessment, which very often just labels people rather than enabling them to progress. So I'll add that at this point to what Bill has already said.
Yes, let me also introduce you to Dr. Cara Francis, who I can see is here as well. So she's another part of our team. She's our academic and program advisor. A lot of her time she spends working with the doctoral students on their dissertations, which is a very big task. So we actually have 6 courses in the doctoral program which lead to a dissertation. So, and I know today's program is mostly about it's primarily about the master's program, but there's Cara Francis there. Cara works extensively. She also works around program and advising issues around the content. Now, Brianna kind of works in this area as well, but in our program we have Cara working particularly around course requirements and stuff. So she plays a tremendous role in the group as well. Also, I want to mention to you our teaching assistants who are currently Stuart Mattingly and Shasani, and we have very excited to have 2 new faculty beginning in August as well. So it's quite a sizable team. So
Bill, there's somebody asked you to describe the course content. Maybe you might just list it very quickly and go through it. Are you planning to do that?
Yes, I will do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So let me go here and go share. So that's just Travis, a quick check-in. How much time do we have before we need to go back to you? We don't want.
If you give us 10 minutes at the end, we'll be fine.
Okay, we
So
won't take.
we have plenty of time.
Yeah. That's the case. Look, by the way, what I'll make sure we do is also leave time for people to ask questions as well.
Yeah.
But do put questions in the chat as you go, and we'll try and answer them there. So firstly, what I'm going to do is, Cara. Oh, Cara, thank you, Cara. You've just taken us there. The link. Thank you very much, Cara, for putting that in. This is the link to the course descriptions. We have a website which describes in a lot of detail all the course requirements and the course content here. Thank you for putting that link in. So when you take the link in, I'm going to navigate there. So Cara's put the deep link in, but I will go here. So basically what we have is LDL program over here, and we have here courses, LDL course descriptions. So of course they're all in Course Explorer, but here are all the courses in the program. We have quite a range of courses. Our newest courses are, we have one on human learning and machine learning, which is there, that 479, because that's become a big issue with artificial intelligence as well. So this is the range of courses we have, which deal not only with technology, but also often the interface of technology and learner differences. Here's a course here on learner differences. Introductory courses about the nature of learning as well. And we also teach an introductory Ed Psych course, Learning and Human Development with Educational Technologies. So if you go to this page and you scroll down, you'll find descriptions of all the courses. And the most important thing, if you want to really, really, really dig deep, you can go here into the learning module, which is all the course content as well. So if you want to see all the course content, it's all there. Incidentally, as I mentioned to you, all this material, every one of these courses is also on Coursera. So if you'd like to have a go at some of it first, Coursera is the place to do it in a kind of a very lightweight and introductory kind of way. So that's a little introduction to the website. Yes, go on.
Yes, I was going to say that you can see a whole lot of courses here related to what you might call instruction or pedagogy, but we are very agnostic. We go through all the modes that are available to you, but we think all educators need to develop a repertoire of approaches. Oh dear, I have to turn this off. A repertoire of approaches in order to select. Like if you're going to deal with diversity, if you're going to deal with new technology, you have to make appropriate decisions for the individual student, for the group, for the class, for the course. So through our courses and programs, we'll help you decide how you make those purposeful choices and what's available to you to make a difference, a genuine difference in transforming people, not just clicking through the instructional designs and covering the content.
Okay, so moving on now, we're going to show you another important area in terms of resources. And we, over a number of years, have been building this environment called Scholar. And we started this particular, well, actually, we've kind of built 3 versions of this over the last 20 years, but this particular version here we've had running for the last 10 years or so. And all the time we're adding new features to it. And as a matter of fact, now, we're rather excited to be kind of rebuilding the whole foundation because the AI stuff has just really shaken everything up. You've got to do something quite different in this kind of environment. So we might, by the fall semester sometime, we're hoping to have a completely new version of this available online. But what I want to do is I want to give you an example of a class community. So our basic idea is our community. And what we do in that community, we have admins. So these are our teaching assistants, Cara, who's our academic advisor, and there's I think Mary's not listed here, but Mary is actually part of it as well, and Barney or maybe Mary's, this is not a course Mary's involved in. Anyway, I went to this because it was just a course that actually began last night. So what we have in this course is 21 people we call members here, and this is an activity stream which is very much like all social media activity streams of things that are happening in that community. If I dig a little bit deeper though, what I can see is I can see here that we've got a student this is a course which is about assessment. Someone's posted a table here about augmented assessment. Someone's posted something. These are students who have posted things. So we give students the task of looking things up. This debate around the SATs at the moment. But here, this one here is one which is called an admin update, that's not posted by a student, it's posted by us as the professors. And what we have in that update is we have videos. So as Mary said, we operate on the flipped classroom model where we I'll stop it talking. So yeah.
I was much younger there, Bill.
Oh, I don't think you've changed at all. So yeah, that was only the day before yesterday. Right. So anyhow, what we do is we recorded these videos and we periodically update them. So yes, these ones are actually getting a bit old now, but some of these basic assessment issues. But what we do is we keep refreshing them and putting new videos in and recording things. And our most recent videos are around all this machine and human learning stuff. So anyhow, this gives you an idea of what a course is like. And what you do is you go into any one of these. Let me see if I can go into one now. Let me just go into this one. So we're talking about the first modern assessments, intelligent tests. So if I click on the actual, this is just a summary view of all the things that have been posted by students and by us. But look, we have this philosophy of collaborative knowledge production, which is, we've got these videos we've made, but in fact, here's the latest thinking posted by a student around this very vexed question of SATs. So the idea is the environment is one which is about collaborative knowledge work. You folks who come to join the course know a lot about education, bring a wealth of experience, and we want to hear you contributing content the same way we contribute content. So see here, we've got references to the book we've written about life in schools, about testing. We've got original sources, Binet, Goddard, Yerkes, the original intelligent test people. And then down the bottom, you can see there are, over the last few days, the last day or two, students have been posting their thoughts and their comments. It's very much like a social media stream. Now, what this also means that as student engagement, so we don't lecture in Zoom lessons. There's nothing worse than sitting listening to a Zoom lecture. And we don't, it's kind of a waste of all our time to be doing that. You need to watch these videos at your leisure. They're in small chunks, they're digestible, they're not hours of lecture in one video. So from a practical point of view, what we do, we have our weekly synchronous sessions, which are run for only 1 hour. And they're kind of because look, who can survive Zoom for much more than an hour? But they're things where we have informal conversations, where the people in the course, the participants in the course, do what we call lightning talks. They talk about the work they're currently doing for the course in 2 or 3 minute chunks. And then it's a very informal conversation, because the full version of the lightning talk, everyone has access to in the Scholar environment. The other thing I want to say is, Mary mentioned the 3 parts, the ASTA plot, and ASTA is a daisy. So what we're doing is we're data mining all the work that happens in the class. This is a class of 20 or 30 students, and we're looking for 20 something different things. And here you can see exactly where you're up to. Everyone has one of these ASTA plots. ASTA, as I said, it's a daisy. These are petals. And you can see exactly how you're being evaluated. And it's not just quantitative evaluation. So in other words, we've got here peer reviews with a huge amount of qualitative commentary in. And our newest addition in here is AI reviews with a huge amount of feedback given to you by generative AI. And on that front, by the way, look, this is not just blowing our own trumpet, but actually saying this, the AI tool that we've built now, we've not seen anything which is quite so effective and quite so detailed and quite so granular as anything. We watch the field every day. New things are being published every day in this generative AI area, and we really do think we're part of the game. But it's our students have been our collaborators. That's part of the reason. That's part of the basis of our success. So there. So, and by the way, this is a class of 20 or 30 people, and by this point in the course, this is a course that just ended. There were 5,700 pieces of actionable feedback that came through the environment, and we're building this picture of 2 million data points. So I'm seeing the whole class here, but in fact, everyone has their own individual ASTA plot. The circumference of the circle is our learning objectives in the class. So as you move towards them, each of the petals grows out in that direction, and the width of each piece is the weighting on that particular piece.
Bill, I see Brianna is there, and Brianna did our courses. Would you like to say something, Brianna, given that you've actually been through the course? And not only did you do the course, she's now part of the team that delivers it to others. So she's had firsthand experience. Brianna?
Yeah, so I went through the LDL Ed.M program and graduated in spring of 2022, so time flies. And I found CG Scholar to be a great way to interact with peers despite being a remote learner, which was really nice, being a remote learner, feeling like you're not entirely sure, if you'll feel isolated as an online learner, which I definitely didn't feel in this program, largely because CG Scholar really promotes peer interaction and peer feedback. As Dr. Cope was just showing the analytics side of CG Scholar, it's really nice in terms of getting pretty immediate feedback on the work that you're working on, and just being able to keep track of your progress as you go, which is really nice, especially if you're like me and you get a little anxious about how you're making your way through the program. So I have nothing but great things to say about this program, and my experience was great. So.
Sorry, Brianna, I didn't mean, I just saw you there, and I think
Oh, that's okay.
the voice of an ex-student is more powerful than the voices of instructors. I believe that. So particularly one that's graduated so well.
And Cara is a former doctoral student in the program, and she's one of so committed to the program that here she is still after finishing a doctorate, very, very committed to everything we do, and incredibly helpful to everybody as well. So, all right, now I think we've kind of covered the main high-level things. Travis, Brianna, Gina, anything you think we might have missed that we need to cover?
The one thing that I think would be great, and I think Kara also briefly mentioned this in the chat, is the audiences that your courses are relevant to, and maybe briefly talk on some of the careers that your students have gone on to, besides the two that we have here with us today.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions then? Because I've seen a few questions in the chat. Cara made a very good point there. Just to elaborate a little bit further in the chat, that in fact we have an incredible range of people, and part of the strength is the range. So of course we have people in school education, K-12. We have people who work for educational technology companies. We have people who work in NGOs. We have people who work in higher ed. We have people who work in ed tech firms. So
they're in medicine, they're in business, they come from very, very different backgrounds.
School levels, they're math teachers and English teachers. So look, what actually interesting thing about that, it means that the discussions are kind of high level discussions. It's not about the nitty gritty of the particular.
Yes, social workers.
Yeah, we have a wonderful person doing, that's right, social workers doing a dissertation at the moment on social work. So yes. Yep. Oh, there you go. Lots of stuff, all sorts of people. So that's one of the things that we really like.
Can I add? So if this is about the research end of it, like when we use the artificial intelligence, we've built it into our program. The reason why it works so well for our students is because we've created a bounded corpus, right? So this is a domain that our students access with their prompts. And this domain is filled with everything Bill and I have ever written, everything anybody else has, anything that's in the course, but everything our students have produced as well from these different backgrounds. So the grounded interpretation of the theories and the courses comes through this corpus from the work that our students do, which we upload into this space. So really, we're not sending our students out into the wild, into the ChatGPT wild, but into a bounded space where they're going to get good feedback, excellent advice and critical advice, because we ask for that too. So that's part of what we're implementing at the moment.
Yeah, and look, we like to think of it not as artificial intelligence, but we like to think of it as collective intelligence, which is it's the intelligence of all the people who participated in this program actually for the last 5 years, because and so we have a this database that informs the generative AI. Nothing's identifiable in the database. It's just general concepts and general ideas. So the result of it is that you get the AI. Well, firstly, the peer feedback's a great experience. Then the AI feedback gives you a lot of feedback on the fly the second you want it. So,
we also attract leaders like, oh, sorry, Bill. We're principals and associate principals and leaders of companies that are trying to deliver programs. So it's a very, very diverse group of people who are interested in those two issues. How do you harness diversity and ensure that everyone gets a chance to achieve their goals? And two, what are the affordances of the technology for improving what we do across any domain? Sorry, Bill.
No, I was just mentioning the AI part of it as well, which again, it's innovative, and we want people to get a feel for what these kind of environments are going to be. These are not just environments that are going to be supporting distance or online education. They're going to be environments where the underlying platforms are available to all teachers and all schools. By the way, just a little piece of information: we've just won a grant from the Institute of Educational Sciences in the US Department of Education to try this software out in middle schools and high schools. So we're very excited by that. So and some of our students will be involved in those trials in their own classrooms as well. Okay, any other questions, folks? Any other things we should be addressing?
One other question that I just I know comes up from time to time, and I know that you guys plan really far ahead and your course offerings and things like that. Could you talk a little bit about your course frequency and offerings for your classes?
Yes, so we have 6 terms a year. So what that actually means, and look, we advise doing one course at a time. It is theoretically possible to do more than one course at a time if you're not working. If you are working and you've got carer responsibilities, for example, and/or work and/or carer responsibilities, we advise one class at a time. They're 8-week classes. We offer them 6 terms a year, and every term we're offering 2 or 3 or 4 different classes. So there's plenty of variety to choose from. It means at the master's level, if you go non-stop, you can get a master's degree in less than 2 years. So because you need to do 8 courses, 6 terms a year, you can do it in
A lot of people do it at 18 months.
Yeah, 18 months, or longer than that if you need to. So the other thing, a couple of things is, look, we're very aware of the fact that many of our students have commitments of all kinds, work commitments, they have family commitments, things happen, they change jobs, or someone in the family falls ill. So, if you can't be learning for a particular term, well, that's okay, and you can come back later. And within our courses as well, we have a policy where there are no very hard deadlines. So, what happens is, if it looks like the student is unable to finish by the end of a term, we give the student an incomplete, and they can come back and finish when they're able to. Now, of course, that means they lose the advantage of the peer interaction, but nevertheless, so they lose something by that, but nevertheless, we never fail anybody. So that's one of our kind of philosophies, because all sorts of things in life intervene. So just to summarize that, Travis, yes, we have quite a lot of offerings every year, every term, a number of different offerings, and we're very flexible about whether you can, and we do allow you to take more than one course at a time, and we just say, okay, it's a lot of work, just be careful.
Yeah, there's a wide range of spectrum that we've seen people complete the program in. But yeah, and as you said, some people take breaks and things like that. You have 5 years to complete the master's program. It's just university policy. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
It should be possible in 5 years. And look, really, we have an incredible success rate. I don't have the actual figures here, but most people who start also finish. But also, look, even if you don't finish and you've got 2 or 3 courses and you want to call it a certificate, you can do that. So there's a great deal of flexibility. Some people start the EDD, but then stop at the master's level because of life commitments of one kind or another and life decisions. So we're very flexible with that.
Yeah. And with that, I think I'm going to turn things over to Brianna to talk about admissions and just some application deadlines and things like that.
Yep, thank you. Great.
Yes, so admission for this program is handled through the graduate college application. So if you decide that you'd like to apply to our program, and we hope you do, you will need to submit an application through the graduate college. After you've submitted your application, it will be reviewed by our different departments and administrators. The program will make an admission decision and then forward your application onto the graduate college, where the graduate college will approve that decision based on campus requirements. From there, the graduate college will process the admission. This is a long way of saying that after you submit your application, if you are admitted to the program, you will be first notified by the College of Education, and then you will receive an official notification of admission from the graduate college. So just a heads up on what that process looks like. If you are interested in applying, you can apply at choose.illinois.edu/apply. And then for your reference, graduates of this program are, of course, invited to attend in-person and or virtual graduation ceremonies. This is a question that we often get about our programs. So while you are a remote online learner in an online classroom setting, you are always welcome to come to campus, and we would love to see you at our convocation ceremony in May.
Yes, thank you for making that point, Brianna. We've just had convocation and we had a number of our students who turned up. It's a really beautiful experience to have them here and show them our college and walk around the campus. So I'd like to encourage all of you, if possible, turn up for graduation. It's a wonderful weekend.
Just some basic application information, upcoming deadlines for admission. Our application deadline for our fall A term, which is the first 8 weeks of our fall semester, it will begin in August. That application deadline is going to be July 15th. If you're not quite ready to apply for a July 15th deadline, you can also be considered for our fall B term, which is our second 8 weeks of the fall semester. The fall B term will begin in October, and that application deadline is September 15th. Again, you can apply online at choose.illinois.edu/apply. I do want to note that as a part of our application process, again, you will need to submit your application to the graduate college. It includes the submission of a resume, a personal statement, letters of recommendation, unofficial transcripts for admission consideration. If you are admitted, you'll later submit official transcripts. But I do want to note that GRE scores are not required for consideration to this program. So just wanted to make that known. Tuition and student financial aid, obviously cost is a big factor when people are considering coming back to school. So I want to let everybody know that the cost for this program is $520 per credit hour. There are no additional fees for online students. If you are taking a course that requires any textbooks or course materials, please be mindful that that may incur an additional cost, and tuition is subject to change. So just be mindful of that. As we previously mentioned, just to kind of put this into a little bit more of an understandable context, $520 per credit hour in the entire master's program is a 32 credit hour program. So hopefully that helps to kind of frame that a little bit better for you all. If you are interested in seeking financial aid and you need full-time status for financial aid purposes, you'll need to be registered for a minimum of 6 credit hours per semester. All of our courses in this program are worth 4 credit hours, so you would need to register for a minimum of 2 courses per semester in order to qualify for financial aid. That's the plan that most of our students adhere to. Most of our students do take 2 courses per semester. So if you are interested in seeking financial aid, this program is financial aid eligible, and you'll need to take 2 courses per semester in order to maintain eligibility. If you do have questions about financial aid and what your options might be for funding your education, for paying for your education, we encourage you to contact the Office of Student Financial Aid at finaid@illinois.edu.
And with that, we'll be moving into question and answer time, but just wanted to remind folks why you might want to choose the University of Illinois. We are a top tier research university, which I'm sure many of you know. Our online master's programs have been ranked number 7 for US News and World Report. We are pretty affordable as far as online master's programs goes. We have world-class faculty. You've heard from 2 of them today, and we are so glad that they joined us. But there are many of the faculty that teach in the program and here at the University of Illinois, and we're proud to have them here. We have an online student engagement focus. You've heard some about that here today. You've seen many of the staff people that we have, so you will not be alone in your program, no matter how you are progressing through or what speed you go through. And we have, you will be welcome with a great peer basis from people all over the world. We have students who are all over the world, just like many of you who have joined us today or might be watching this recording back. We have folks located here in Illinois. We have folks that are in Europe, over in India, in Japan, and have even had the opportunity to meet some of them when they've taken a visit to campus, which has been great to meet them. And there's extensive resources for our online students, including our library. The college and university library is also available for online students. I like to always just mention that because that is not always the case for online programs. Here's just a link here to the newest ranking, and if you are interested in that. And with that, we have about 15 minutes for Q&A. Should you have any questions, happy to answer any of those questions. We don't have to rush off anywhere. We have some time here. So would like to make sure that we get your questions answered. If you are already interested in applying, you can apply now at education.illinois.edu/online. And as Brianna said, the first deadline for fall term A is July 15th. So you can start at any time, but we hope to see you in our program and have that application in before then, so you can start in the fall. Any questions? And if you think of anything afterwards, you can always email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. One of us on staff will be happy to answer that, or we can even connect you with Bill LeMary or Kara. And oh, I see Vanya was able to join, so I hope your travels are going well.
Thank you. My calendar confused the time zone. That's why I got earlier.
I completely understand. And again, the session will be recorded. It'll get sent out to anybody. That link will be good for you. You can send it to anybody else if you know anybody else who might be interested in the program. Say you're watching this, you have a friend that might be interested in the program. You can send them a recording of this presentation also, and they will be able to view that.
Travis, maybe we don't have questions. Maybe some people who are still online might tell us what attracted them to the program or what interests they have. It would be really lovely to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, feel free to type in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute your mic or come on video if you want to share with us.
So one of the people asked, is it possible to take the master's and continue the doctoral level? So the answer is yes, but you need to get 64 credit hours. So if you've already got a master's degree and this is your second master's degree, you don't need to do that. You can go straight on and just add another 32 credit hours. But if you don't have an initial master's degree, it's another 64 hours after that. I think I have that correct, Brianna and Travis, don't I?
Yeah, so the difference would be, and Kara typed this in here too, so you'd still need to apply to the EDM program and take those courses. You simply can't transfer. So there are some programs out there where you can transfer directly on through, and that is not the case with the online EDD program.
But we do give preference when we're in selection to people who've already been in the program. So yeah, it's something where it's pretty likely you would be you'd be admitted just because we prioritize those. Yeah, preference performance, of course, yeah.
One of the other things, so related question, and this is a different situation. So we had somebody who says they're taking a non-degree course or program as a student. Those courses can transfer directly on into the master's program or any of the other degree programs if that's what you're doing in. So if you are currently taking either any of the non-degree programs or one of the certificate programs, those can stack straight into your master's program. And as long as you still complete all your core courses and required coursework for the program, those can be applied. Any other questions from folks? I know, Vanya, you haven't had a chance to really introduce yourself since we have some time, and this will be shared with folks who are recording. Do you want to just share a little bit about yourself for folks? So I know you'll be involved in the program. People will see you too. So I'm going to give you a chance.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vanya. I'm a teaching assistant professor from the LDL program, and soon I will talk to Brianna, right, Brianna? I'm going to help advising the master students in the LDL, and my research field is about mobile learning education, artificial intelligence in education, and the use of literacies in the digital world.
Vania comes to us from Brazil. She was a Fulbright scholar and then got another grant to come and work with us. But she comes from Brazil and she went home for the holidays to get married.
Yeah.
We are very happy for her.
When I arrived here in the middle of the night. So Travis, that's why I was online earlier.
Yeah, no problem. It totally happens. I mean, that's one of the joys of online programs, right? Is you can be in Brazil and still participating and connecting and participating in things. So I think that, we have faculty travel as well as students in the program. So there's truly an international experience in our online programs.
Can I just add about Vanya? Her doctorate was on using mobile devices in areas where teachers did not have access to computers and technology, but they did have a phone, or some kind of mobile device. And so she explored the way in which you could provide professional learning to those teachers who are in remote areas and in poor areas. And it was a really fascinating piece of work and with excellent results in the way that she designed the professional learning and the way in which the teachers valued it. So I think she's got a lot to offer us.
So we did get a question here, and I think you touched on this previously, Bill, but I'll just go ahead and ask it again. So somebody said that they're planning to take the EDD. Should they take the EDM first or go directly into the EDD?
Again, the question would be whether you've already got a master's degree. So you can't go directly into the EDD if you've got if you don't have a master's degree. So you need to do finish the EDM first, then move into the EDD. If you do have an EDM already, the application deadlines are only once per year. So if you wanted to start soon, you could start by taking individual courses. But otherwise, the application deadline is only once a year. And that is usually in December 1. So that's a kind of an answer. You can wait and apply, or you can start some courses, then apply later, and that we'll take that into account when we review the applications for the EDD.
Yeah, and I think I think the on-campus deadline is December 1st and online April 15th, and it does admit once a year. But with the new addition, there is the graduate certificate and learning design and leadership. So as Bill was saying, if you want to get started on taking some classes now and you already have a master's degree, you could get started and you could take that and you could get started on that even as early as this fall. And the application deadline for that is also July 15th. The same as the masters. Any other questions? Well, while folks are still here, I have one last poll just to get some feedback from those of us who are still here. Just let us know if this met your expectations. That feedback helps us. If it didn't, we like to know why, and we could follow up. But want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, everybody from the program in LDL and online programs who joined us for the presentation today to help answer questions. Really appreciate the time. Thanks to everybody who's watching this recording back afterwards. This will be made available online, and the recording should get sent out to everybody about 12 hours after the session. That's about how long it takes the system and everything like that. So you should have it in about 12 hours. So maybe that's tomorrow morning, or maybe that's later this afternoon for you, depending on where you're located. Give folks one last chance to ask any questions. All right. Well, if you think of anything afterwards, thank you all for joining us. You can always reach us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, and we are happy to answer any of your questions. Dig into your individual situation with your career. If you're considering applying but not sure if this is the right program for you, we're happy to help you navigate that and provide you with as much information as we can. So thank you all for joining us. Take care.
Thank you all, and thank you, Travis. Bye-bye.
Bye.